another thing that some people don't know is that our leash ordinance here in town applies to cats as well.
Yes.
So a lot of people, they say they have indoor outdoor cats. That is fine if the cat stays on your property. But as soon as they wander off, it could be in violation of a city ordinance. And if they are off the property, they do have to be on the leash, which a lot of people are kind of like, is that even possible? I've seen it maybe once or twice, but cats like to do their own thing. And I've seen some people try and the cat just tangles up in the leash.
What's up, College Station? I'm Grace Hollowell, and today I'm joined by Animal Control Officer Hector Garcia. Hi, Hector.
How you doing?
I am doing well. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
We were just chatting a little bit about some of the little critters that get into our neighborhoods. I encountered a possum this morning on my way in that got stuck under my fence. But we are going to talk about some bite prevention as well as why microchipping is so important for our pets. But to kick things off, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Pretty much, I was born and raised here. I'm local to Bryan College Station.
Awesome.
So, been doing animal control now for the city, going on close to 4 years, and been loving every bit of it. Not every single day is the same. There's always different types of animals we deal with on a daily basis, and some animals that we kind of take a step back and it's like, okay, how do we handle this? Because it's the first time us dealing with that type of animal. So it's been a fun time being an animal control officer here for the city.
Yeah, I bet. What is the most, crazy animal story that you have during your time so far?
I know for myself, it's probably been, there was a hawk that flew into HEB.
Oh my gosh.
And it took a little bit where we were finally able to get it out.
Yeah.
There's been some of the other animal control officers that had to deal with beavers, a couple monkeys.
Monkeys, wow.
Yeah, it's snakes, what else? Lizards, all sorts of stuff. So it's pretty fun. Whenever we see those calls come in, we're like, well, that's a first. Okay, how are we going to try and approach this call? But in the end, once it's done, it's usually kind of like, all right, this is a neat little story. There was another one where it was a fox that was in the stadium at Olsen Field.
Yes, I remember that.
While the game was going on.
Yeah.
So that ACO had a fun time trying to keep everybody back with the help of UPD. And she was able to get the fox into a trap and remove it safely. And nobody was involved with the fox bit or anything like that. So that was an awesome success, especially in that type of atmosphere.
Yes, and I'm sure the fox was very confused as to what baseball was and what was going on.
Very much so. We saw some pictures afterwards inside the trap, and it just had to look like, okay, where am I at?
Yeah, I was recently just took a trip to Disneyland in California, and it is, I guess, duckling season there. They have different types of ducks that wander throughout the parks, and we were getting on the It's a Small World ride, which is a little boat ride, and a duck had wandered in, and the look on its face was like, where am I? How do I get out of here? So what is one thing that you wish more people knew about animal control?
So with us, we're actually a very small unit.
Yes.
For the entire city of College Station and also animal calls on campus there at Texas A&M, there's only 4 of us.
Wow.
We have 1 supervisor and 3 full-time animal control officers. And so 4 of us that help the entire city and also campus whenever they do have animal calls, since they don't have an animal control unit themselves. So I was kind of looking at some of our numbers from last year, and we answered close to 7,000 calls between dispatch calls that came in, self-initiated calls, us driving around town, doing patrols, or see an animal running. So we take quite a bit of calls, and just 4 of us for the entire area. So it's, at times there's days where it's back-to-back calls.
Right.
And then there's days where we get a little bit of break in between. So we're always constantly going, and a lot of the community doesn't know that we have only 4.
Right. Because
So
you guys are all over the place.
Yep, it'd be, sometimes in the evenings there's only like 1 or 2 of us that are on shift, and one of us might be on the other side of town where we're dealing with cattle that got out.
Yeah.
And then it's on the north side of town where we have to try and go to during rush hour traffic to try and meet somebody that found a dog. And sometimes it takes a little bit, but we're always trying to strive our best to get there to respond to each call, in a timely manner. But that would be one thing that I think a lot of people don't know. That's kind of good to kind of put out to them, like, hey, we're trying our best, and we're doing everything that we can to respond to everybody's call.
Yes, absolutely. And what is your favorite thing about your job?
I would say the different types of animals that we deal with. Yes, a
Yeah.
lot of them are going to be dogs and cats. But like I said earlier, we've dealt with some monkeys. We've dealt,
Yeah.
it's not mine before, but we've dealt with a beaver before. That was in one of the dog parks. It's always interesting the animals that come in, and also just helping them out. A lot of them returning them back home. A lot of animals that are injured, trying to get them help either at a small animal hospital. If it's a wildlife animal, trying to get them help as well so they can get back on their feet and be released back into the wild. So I would say that's probably my favorite aspect is trying to reunite animals, pets that have gotten lost, but also wildlife that have been injured to try and get them the help and, release them back.
Yes. And have you always been an animal person?
Growing up, we had like one or two pets growing up from what I remember, but I didn't really become more into animals until probably about maybe 2019. Started enjoying it more and more. And then from that point, I'd moved back to town probably in 2022 and started looking into, hey, what can I do for animal wise? What can I do to help my community as well? And that's when a position had opened up and I applied for it. And it's been awesome since then. So.
Yeah. So, how does what you do directly impact our community here in College Station?
So a lot of people, they sometimes think, hey, we just go out and just catch dogs. Talking to a lot of community members on certain calls we respond to, it's like, oh, all you do is just catch dogs. Catch dogs. You don't do anything else. We do a lot more than that.
Right.
That's one small aspect. There are times where we help out the community. There are individuals that are struggling,
Yeah.
with their pets, trying to provide food for them, but also for their families. We step in at times if we're able to help. Hey, we can try and get you some food from a resource that we have available to us. We'll bring you some food so you can help, keep feeding your dog instead of trying to surrender or anything. Hey, do you need a leash? We got leashes for you. We can provide for you. A lot of people look at that and they're just, it helps them a lot.
Yeah.
Because especially with the bags of food are expensive now.
Yes.
And for us, with some of the resources we have, we can reach out and be like, hey, do you have this available? Sure. We go pick it up, bring it back to them and help them out. Because the last thing we want to do is start trying to pursue any type of cruelty or anything because somebody's struggling. They love their pet. They're trying to do everything they can. If we're able to kind of step in to help the community out, a little bit at a time so they can get back on their feet, that's what we like to try and do. Other aspects as well is the safety of the animals.
Right.
There's some times where animals are kind of neglected a little bit. People don't really, first-time pet owners, they don't know what signs to look for. So it's not only helping the community, but it's helping the animals as well.
Yes, it's a two for one.
Yes.
So, talking about safety, why is animal bite safety an important topic for our community to know?
So whenever a bite does happen, one of the main concerns that it is rabies.
Yes.
That is one of the key aspects of whenever a bite occurs. And by state law, we have to follow up on those calls. We have to try and make sure that the animal is up to date on this rabies vaccine. If it's not up to date on this rabies vaccine, what kind of condition is the animal in? Is it a stray animal? Sometimes it's wildlife.
Right.
We have individuals that like to pet wildlife that sometimes are higher risk in rabies, and they think it's cute and fluffy, and they try and pet and they get bit.
Right.
So it's important because we want to try and roll out the fact that there is a rabid animal out there, and we want to make sure that the community is safe from that.
Yes. And what are some of the most common situations that lead to animal bites?
I would say a majority of our animal bites that we do, I think last year we did 195 to 200 bite reports.
Wow.
And that was a mixture of cats, dogs, wildlife, sometimes bats that are here in town. All the high-risk wildlife, we try and send them off for testing and make sure we can roll that out. But when it comes to pets-wise, it's usually I was playing with my pet, family member was playing with the pet, they went for a ball, they got bit by the dog by accident. Or sometimes with cats can, it's like a light switch. They can be calm and everything, and next thing you know, they can either be playful or mean, and they get bit by, by their pet cat. But majority of the times it's I wouldn't say rare, but it's less often where it's more of an aggressive animal that's out trying to bite somebody. Sometimes it's, hey, I found this dog, it's kind of scared. They try and pet it, take care of it, or it's a cat, they found
Yeah.
it, it's possibly injured, and they're scared and they kind of try and protect themselves from somebody that they don't know, and they sometimes bite.
Right. And I know my in-laws cat, Tubby,
Mm-hmm.
he is sweet when he wants to be, and then you can kind of see the look in his eye and you know, all right, he's done, no more pets. You got to run away from Tubby or else you're going to get bit. So what should somebody do immediately after being bitten by any animal?
If it's somebody that's out with their pet and you don't know them or anything, you're walking by and you were to get bit, if you were petting them, try and see if you can exchange information with the pet owner. Get
Yes.
name, address. Always try and seek out help for getting the wound cleaned out. Not only, the main concern is rabies, but we also want to try and make sure it gets clean so there's no risk for infection.
Right.
So try and get that cleaned out, get information from the dog owner, just so that we can reach out to speak to them to try and find out more information about the animal. Sometimes if it's a stray animal, if you are able to secure it safely, once again, if it's an animal that's biting, trying to get at you, just stay away, call it in. See if you're able to safely get a picture so we can get an idea of what the animal looked like. And then we'll try and go in that area to see if we can find it. But it always helps if there's some type of owner information if the animal that bit was owned by somebody, so that we can reach out to them.
Yes. And if it's wildlife, what should people do in that case?
If it's wildlife, once again, try and see if you can secure the animal safely. A bat, it's a little bit easier. Just put like a small box or something over
Yeah.
it. If it's a raccoon, it's a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But yes, if you are able to secure the animal safely, please do so. But at the same time, if you're not, what usually happens is that it's recommended and a letter of liability be sent to you, kind of explaining why. But it's highly recommended to go see your primary care doctor to get the rabies vaccine. Just because we aren't able to put the animal in quarantine to try and see if it's doing fine during that 10 days. And usually with that, it's always recommended just, hey, go get it checked out if we can't find the animal, and to kind of be on the safer side.
Yes, that is something that I know in the moment things can kind of be chaotic and stressful. But yes, securing the animal if you can do it safely, and checking with your physician. And then if you have questions, definitely give animal control a call. Y'all are there to help, I'm sure.
Yes, definitely.
So how can parents teach their children to safely interact with animals?
Usually it's, hey, if you see somebody walking their pet, try and teach your kids, like, hey, ask first if you can pet.
Right.
We would love to see that every animal is friendly to every person, every other dog, or that it sees. But majority of the time they're not.
Right.
And it could be a mixture of things. They just are scared. They're learning, they're being trained,
Right.
to kind of be over that fear. But it's always best to speak with kids. If you're a parent, to speak with kids and tell them, like, hey, if you see a dog, ask if you can pet it. If you see a stray dog or cat, kind of stay away from it. Don't try and approach it. Go let an adult know, hey, there's a loose dog or a loose cat over there.
Yeah.
And see if an adult can try and see if they can contain it in the backyard or something, and then give us a call. But it is surprising that most of the time, kids are usually pretty good about it. About, hey, can I pet a dog? Pet your dog. They're usually pretty good on it. So I would say that would be one of the main things that parents could probably ask and teach their kids. Like, hey, what do you do in this situation? Okay, ask first. Or, well, that dog's off a leash. I'm gonna go find my mom or dad or an adult to let them know. So.
Yes, that is something that is very important. I remember watching Animal Planet shows growing up, and they were always, ask before you pet somebody else's animal, and if it's wildlife, never approach it unless you are with an adult and they say it's okay. So switching gears here to talk about keeping pets safe, and if they ever do get lost, what to do. Why is a microchip so important, and how does it work?
So a microchip is very important, and it's usually a very simple thing, that procedure that can be done. What it is exactly, it's probably about the size of a grain of rice, and it's not battery operated or anything like that. And if I remember correctly, when a microchip scanner goes over it, that's when it's kind of activated and it gives a number. It's about anywhere between a 9 to 15 digit number. And when you call the microchip company, it usually has owner information, phone number, address, whatever information is provided from the owner so that the dog can be returned back to them. It does help out tremendously. For us, we all do have microchip scanners. We scan it. If it's something that's in our database where we can find the owners real quickly, we'll get it back to them or call, hey, are you home? Sometimes it's, yeah, I usually leave my dog outside, but it got out. We'll go back and, hey, is somebody home? Meet us there. We can return the dog back. There are times as well where they're not in the database that we have, but we know the microchip company, and we can give that company a call, and then they can usually have it in their database where we can still get information from it.
Yes, and I know even for indoor pets like cats, they're very easy. It's a quick procedure. And if people are interested in getting their pets microchipped, if they are not already, how can they do that?
There are a lot of local events that do happen. I know Aguilan Humane Society sometimes puts
Yes.
on events. I believe they have one coming up soon, or are having one where it's a microchip event. So if somebody is interested, I would say to reach out to them and get some more information. But sometimes I want to say City of Bryan Animal Shelter, they sometimes have some free clinics. I'm not sure on what their requirements are for it, but there are certain rescues and shelters that do provide that service, either there or sometimes vet clinics as well.
Yes. So how often should pet owners update the information on their microchips?
I would say probably check it about maybe once a year. If, hey, it's been a little bit, let me try and make sure all the information is correct. Some people, they don't really think about it, especially when they move.
Right.
And there have been times we picked up dogs where the address comes back and it's somewhere up in North Texas or out of state.
Yeah.
And, sometimes phone number isn't working. So I would say probably about once a year, check it, make sure everything's good. If you're wanting, hey, can we scan it for you? Give us a call. We'll swing by. We'll scan the microchip for you, give you the number, and you can call the company as well, and we can provide that number for you too. And you can, it's right there. You have all the info updated as you can.
Yes, and I have a background in veterinary medicine, so working at a pet clinic, we have seen time and time again, a lost pet comes in, we scan it, there is a chip, but the information is not current, and there's no way to contact the owner unless we have their information.
Yep.
So what are some common misconceptions that people might have about microchips?
For when it comes to microchips, people think that I guess like all their information is going to kind of get blasted out there.
Right.
Even with microchip companies or the system we have, sometimes it's whatever the owner wants to provide. It could also be, hey, this does have a microchip and have an owner, but we're not going to provide it for you, but we will send a message to that owner to let them know their dog was found.
Yes.
And where they can pick the dog up at. So a lot of people think with that, like I said, they think their information out there. They don't want some random person just showing up at their house. But it's still limited.
Right.
With us for animal control, we do get a little bit more information. But it's one of those where it's a trusted organization and department where we're trying to return and have some extra tools to try and get them back home. But if it was somebody who found an animal, got it chipped, and they try calling it in, most of the time it's going to be, okay, well, we can message the owner ourselves, and we can let them know where to pick up the animal. So if it's a regular citizen that does that portion, they don't get all the owner information. They
Right.
can meet up with them.
Right. So have you seen any memorable reunions made possible because of microchips?
There was one not that long ago. We were down on, where was it? I want to say Holman Drive South on the other side of Harvard Mitchell Parkway. We had gotten a call for a dog that had been running around in that area for a couple months. I want to say it was about two months or so.
Wow.
The owner had called when it first went missing, saying, "Hey, my dog is microchipped. We're trying to catch it. It got away from us. It ran out of the house as soon as we opened the door." And we tried keeping an eye on it. We saw the dog, but it was very skittish and wouldn't come near us or anything.
Yeah.
We were finally able to catch it with the dog trap, safely and everything. And I remember that morning I was the one who responded to check the trap and come around the corner, and the dog was sleeping hard.
Aww.
He was very tuckered out and was sleeping very hard, to where I went up to the cage and kind of shook it, and he kind of raised his head and was like, "Oh, hi."
Oh, hey.
Ended up came out of put a leash on him, came out of the trap, sweet little boy, and then scanned him for the microchip, and sure enough, he had one. And ended up calling the owner back, and it had been a little bit since we had talked to him, but he would call every now and then, like, "Hey, has anybody brought a dog in or called in about a dog matches it?" And we'd be like, "No, we're still looking." And during this whole time, we're like, it might be his dog, but we weren't sure.
Right.
And when we finally scanned it and saw that it did have a microchip, we called them. We're like, "Hey, we got your dog. Are you at home right now?" And I believe he wasn't. I believe he was at work, but his brother was there to meet me, and he was like, "I'm so excited. This is one. We weren't expecting him. We thought he was still running around. We didn't know if he was injured and got hurt or passed away.
Yeah.
So it was a very exciting story to be able to kind of reunite with their dog back with the family.
Yeah, and it's especially with something that is like the dog has been missing for months. That's why these microchips are so important.
Yep.
So what should residents do first if their pet goes missing?
So you can give us a call. Give us a call, give us a description, give us your name and number, so that if we do come across your pet, and we usually we have a little lost pet log that we share with each other. And hey, if somebody called in, we can look to see, hey, I picked up this cat or this dog matches the description for this person. Let me give them a call and see if it is. Sometimes it is a microchip, sometimes it is, and they sometimes provide that information for us too. But give us a call. We can keep a log, so if we do come across it, we can give you a call back right away. Another thing that we usually do is that if we don't have any information, nobody's called in about it, any animal that we find here in College Station city limits, we take to Aggieland Humane Society.
Yes.
And they usually post a picture the day of, or next day if it's over the weekend, of the animals that were brought in, and they put it on their lost and found page. And we usually direct people like, hey, we might have picked up a dog that looks like it. Check out their website and see if it is, and you can go reclaim the animal there. Other suggestions we usually give is, hey, Facebook. There's a couple of Facebook organizations for lost and found pets here in town where people just post it there. And sometimes people find the pet and they see it on there and they just call the owner directly. There's been a couple times we've actually found the owners that way as well. We follow those pages daily, and hey, I picked up a dog. I think I saw that, or one of the other ACOs. Hey, I think I saw that post for that dog. Sure enough, we look on there. Oh, yep, there it is. There's owner contact information, and then we return their pet back to them.
Yes, and I have. Hang on 1 second. Sorry. Yes, and that kind of goes with my next question: is if somebody finds a pet, what do they do?
If somebody were to find a pet, give us a call. Like I said before, we have the microchip scanners. So if it does have a microchip, we can look up that information and return the dog. If somebody ends up wanting to hold on to the dog, we say okay, but unfortunately, we can't give them the owner contact information, stuff like that. It's just, hey, here's a microchip number. You can try and call the microchip company yourself. But 9 times out of 10, people are just, hey, here's the animal. If you can, just see if you can take it up to the shelter, use your magic to see if you can find the owner. And it's always worked out that way. But yeah, if you found a pet, give us a call. If it's late at night, try and see if you can put the dog in your backyard. Sometimes people put it in their garage, and then they call the next morning, and one of us will respond to pick up the animal as well.
And next, what are some helpful tips to be a responsible pet owner?
like we said, we've been saying microchips.
Yes.
Microchips are very important. They help out a lot. Another thing is, if you are going to be walking your pets, make sure they're on a leash. Majority of the time, people kind of, oh, my dog has a really great recall, and I'm gonna let it off leash. And there's a saying that we use is, "There goes your dog, nevering like it's never done before."
Yeah.
It'll never run away. It'll always come back until it sees a little squirrel, it wants to chase and goes after it. But always leash. And another thing that some people don't know is that our leash ordinance here in town applies to cats as well.
Yes.
So a lot of people, they say they have indoor outdoor cats. That is fine if the cat stays on your property. But as soon as they wander off, it could be in violation of a city ordinance. And if they are off the property, they do have to be on the leash, which a lot of people are kind of like, is that even possible? I've seen it maybe once or twice, but cats like to do their own thing.
Yes.
And I've seen some people try, and the cat just tangles up in the leash.
Right.
So, but
I can't even put collars on mine. They freeze and will not move.
Yeah, it's like I said, I've seen it a couple of times people do it, and it's kind of funny to watch them. And then it's like, all right, let's just leave it alone and just kind of let it relax. But being on the leash, microchip, a collar with some type of tag on it. Some people, they've done it where they've embroidered their information or a phone number on there. Just any type of information that can help us out and reunite the owner back with their pet.
Yes, and that brings up a good point that all dogs, cats, and ferrets in the city of College Stations need to be license tagged and rabies vaccinated.
Yes, and there's also one other thing too, is that they also have to have a county tag.
Yes.
So, and here this year, they actually came out with the brand new county tag that's actually kind of helps out the owners as well. The new county tags, they all have QR codes on it.
Awesome.
And on that QR code, the owner, they can put whatever information on it. If they just want their name and phone number, they can do that. If they just want to put a phone number, they can do that as well. There's a 24/7 helpline for that. If you were to scan it, it pops up the dog's name. I think it's a picture of the dog, owner information, whatever's provided, to where that person can reach out to them and return it. If they don't want to put that information on there, that's fine. They can still call us and we can take it up to the Humane Society. But I want to say there's also a trauma helpful fund for trauma up to $500 for any serious injury. Like I said, 24/7 hour hotline. I want to say as well that if it is taken up to the Humane Society, there is a reduced fee for the impound.
Yes.
So that kind of helps out. I'm not sure off the top of my head what that fee is, but anything reduced price always helps out, especially nowadays.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
But yeah, so county tag is also another thing that is needed as well.
Yes, and if people have questions or are thinking about adopting a pet, or they might have had their pet for years, but they have some questions about the ordinances about pets in College Station, where can they go to find that information?
Yeah, so they can look on the city website under animal control. We have a bunch of helpful tips on there. All our city ordinances are there. But if they want to talk to somebody, get more clarification, they can reach us through the non-emergency line at the police department.
Yes.
And with that, they'll put in a call for us, and we're more than happy to help our citizens out and explaining the ordinances or any questions, give some suggestions on helping them with their pet. We do get a lot of, well, this is my first pet I've ever had. I'm not sure on what to do on this portion. Do I need to have this leash or this here, or do I really need to have its rabies or a microchip or anything like that? And it's okay, yeah, let's walk through it. We can explain everything for you. So
yes, very helpful resources. I know a lot of people, their pets are their babies, so they want to make sure that they do everything to keep them safe and healthy, and you guys are a very helpful resource with, I'm sure, years worth of knowledge on what to do in any type of given situation.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've seen it all.
Yeah, it's a very, very big spectrum of calls that we've handled, and everything from the easiest, simplest, to where we kind of stand there as, okay, let me do some research, and then let me ask other ACOs if they've dealt with this, and we come up with a plan to try and help out as well.
Yes. Well, before we go, we have a quick little lightning round of fun questions related to animals. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Both, but maybe a little more dog.
Gotcha. The biggest misconception about animal control.
That we're just mean people that like to handle and toss around animals and dogs and everything. It's complete opposite. We love to hold on. We pet and love just about every single one of them.
Yes. Most unusual animal call you have responded to.
For myself, I'd say earlier, like the hawk that was in HEB, trying to walk around with the big old pole and the net on the end, reaching up in the rafters trying to catch it.
Yeah.
So, and everybody standing around the produce aisle with their phones recording while we're doing it.
The funniest thing an animal has done on a call.
To me, it's kind of funny. To other people, it probably won't be, but it was about 120-pound like Mastiff mix.
Yes.
Not gonna lie, at first it was kind of a little nervous. His big bark, big
It's
body,
like the
and
dog
everything.
from the Sandlot.
Yeah, and then next thing you know, he let me put a leash on him. As soon as I put a leash on him, he rolled over belly up and let me pet him and everything. Sweetest dog ever. And I was like, oh, all right, this is, I'm a little, more confident now that you're
Yeah.
friendly. You were just scared is all. And that's what kind of made me laugh and maybe kind of giggle about that whole call. I'm like, you're just a big old puppy. That's all you are.
And then finally, one word to describe working in animal control.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, that would probably be the best word to explain it.
Yes, I'm sure, like you said, every day is something new. Okay, well, before we go, what are some great resources for people looking for more information for their pets?
Like I said, you can reach out to us through the Non-Emergency Line, the police department, our webpage on the city website under Animal Control. Agland Humane Society has some good resources that you can reach out to them. But there are also some other rescues in the area, and I would say there are some rescues that are breed specific, and you could probably reach out to them as well to try and get help too.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No, thanks for having me again.
And that's what's up.